Denver Mayor Michael Hancock has proposed a $1.26 billion budget for 2016, including funding for police body cameras and a homeless solution center. In addition, $24 million would go toward rebuilding the Sheriff's Department, which is currently suffering an employment shortage and requiring mandatory overtime for its deputies. Eric, usually we don't get into the details of the city budget, but just in the first blush, you see $24 million to the Sheriff's Department. Is that enough? Are you seeing the right priorities?
I have no idea if it's enough. I'm not in the weeds of the Sheriff's Department budget. I think, as the Denver Post editorial and others have pointed out, what the Sheriff's Department needs, yes, they probably need more funding. They clearly need more deputies, but they also need some leadership, and that has been a long, extended process with, I'm not aware that there's an end in sight to getting a top dog in that department. So money is part of what they need, but is not the whole thing of what they need. They need reform, cultural reform, policy reform, and a leader. Going back to the previous topic of bikes and roads, I was intrigued with this budget. And again, I'm not in the weeds as a fiscal person, but there was discussion of everything from expediting permits to the Sheriff's Department, to a zillion and one other issues. The one that I did not see emphasized in this budget was roads. And I think if you tap the political sentiment of most people around Denver these days, the number one issue is the rapidly growing congestion and just how long it takes to move around town and how dramatically more difficult it's become in not that many years. And that was a key issue in a lot of those city council races we just went through, and I did not see that emphasized in this budget.
Susan, your thoughts on the budget?
My thought on the budget was I looked at the $24 million for the Sheriff's Department, and then I looked at $8 million for affordable housing, and my jaw dropped. I agree, I understand they're short-staffed at the Sheriff's Department. They're short-staffed because morale is terrible, because there's no leadership, and because they are a wayward department. I think the mayor could save millions of dollars on reforming that department if he just grew a spine and started firing the sheriff's deputies who kill people and firing the attorneys and the managers who on their behalf in court lie and cover up the lies. And so, there are vastly more Denverites who need affordable housing than need incarceration. And I don't know how you can justify $24 million for reforming the Sheriff's Department, $8 million for affordable housing, especially when the administration says $8 million will help build hundreds of affordable housing units. If you do the math, that's not even possible. Even with leveraging private dollars, that's just not even possible. And I think the priorities are very mixed up.
Especially in Denver, the kind of real estate, they're not buying anything. I totally agree. Patty, your thoughts on the budget?
Well, with the Sheriff's Department, it might actually prove to be a good investment if we don't have to keep making the huge, huge payouts we've had from complaints from prisoners with mistreatment. But it is true, you don't need the money to make the first fixes that have to happen there, which is good communication on what the proper procedures are. And if you go into the Homeless Solution Center, that's another good example of where the Hancock administration needed to have some advanced communication with the Ballpark neighborhood, for example, which filed a suit, which is making some progress against a daycare center there, a homeless day center there too. So, I had talked about the bicycles, that there's nothing about transportation. The bicycle people in the state, in Denver particularly, are very upset that it seems to have stalled. So I would say some education is required all around. What are the rules of the road? Why is every road seemingly under construction, just backing everything up? I think Denver's in a good place financially. It's an excellent time to just get things moving and get some discussion going.
David, your quick take.
The idea of firing deputies who abuse people is a very good idea, but impossible in Denver because the sheriffs deputies are under civil service, and that goes from the lowliest deputy all the way up to the undersheriff, the number 2 guy there. We don't have this problem of needing $24 million in order to be able to hire more people at the 62 other counties where sheriffs are elected, and they have full authority to hire and fire, and the people have the full authority to hire and fire the sheriff who isn't doing a good job. That model works in Colorado. The Denver model doesn't.
For everyone playing CIO bingo at home, we did get to the Denver Sheriff's Department. The Denver Sheriff should be elected, so congratulations for everyone who got bingo on that one.